Hi, Andrew. Welcome back.
Hey, how's it going, Doc?
I'm doing all right. How have you been this week?
Well, been better. I've had better days, I guess.
Okay, so better. What do you mean by that?
Well, last time we were talking about just how I've been having a kind of tough time adjusting and stuff like that. So I just feel like, I don't know, I'm not in the best place right now.
Okay, and so last session we talked about you proposing to one of your professors that you have an extension. Did they grant you that?
Yeah, they did. So I guess that's pretty cool. But even with that, honestly, like, I don't know, I'm not feeling the motivation. I'm not like, okay, cool, I got the extension, and yeah, I guess I'll get it done. But it's just such a hassle. Like, I have to like really feel like I'm forcing myself to get up and get stuff done. You know what I mean? So
Okay, so I'm hearing that you need some more motivation.
yeah, I don't know if it's more motivation or just trying to get out of this slump. I guess.
Okay. Last session we kind of talked about how you haven't been able to get out of bed.
Right.
Have you found any progress?
Not really. Like I said, it kind of ties in with the homework thing. You know what I mean? It's just feel like sleeping in. I stay up late, kind of watch Netflix and stuff, play video games, that type of stuff, and kind of been skipping like my 9 a.m.s pretty frequently. So that's been affecting my grade in that class.
You proposed to me last time as like a homework project that you're gonna get out with friends at least once a week. Did you do that this past week?
Yeah. I did see a friend of mine. We went for a hike on the local trail, so that was fun. That was pretty good. Nice to clear my head. Get some exercise, actually step outside. You know what I mean? With the winter, it's been kind of like cramped and cold and pretty crappy out. So
Okay. I'm really glad that that happened for you. Um, there's a technique I wanted to use today for us to get a little bit deeper into what your thoughts are. Um, we're gonna kind of work through like some of your negative thoughts. How do you feel about that?
whatever you think, Doc.
It's called laddering, and it will help us determine what your automatic thoughts are. So last session we talked about that you feel like your dad doesn't love you. Do you remember that?
Yep. Yep.
Okay. So could you tell me a little bit more about why you think he doesn't love you?
Jeez. It's kind of wow, just laying it out there, Doc. Well, I mean, I just feel like growing up, I saw other kids with their dads and kind of like that interaction, and I guess I always just kind of was striving for something more, and I don't know, I never really got that. Like at our soccer games, rec league soccer games, my friend's dad would always come and cheer him on, but like my dad was always either working or doing something else, or he just dropped me off and then come pick me back up after. So it was kind of like that type of stuff. You know what I mean? And even to this day, like at drop off, a lot of families kind of hung out with the kids after and stuff like that. From us, it was just more like, all right, there you go, good luck, type of deal. So I don't know.
Okay, so it sounds like you feel like you're being left out, or how would you describe that?
Yeah, just I guess like we never really had that, father son play catch type bonding thing you see in the movies. You know what I mean? And I guess that kind of just stuck with me.
Okay, so from what you told me, it feels like perhaps one of your automatic thoughts is that you don't have a solid relationship with your father, therefore, you don't have the same type of life that everyone else does.
I never really thought of it like that, but I mean, I think I could definitely see how they could all be correlated or interconnected in a way like that.
So, our thoughts are kind of like an iceberg. Automatic thoughts are like the tip of the iceberg. So you can see them, right? You understand them. You may be conscious of them, but you kind of have to tune into them to understand them better. Does that make sense?
Sure.
Okay. Um, so what we want to work on in our future sessions is about getting deeper into your thoughts to understand why those automatic thoughts are so-called submerged. So you can't see these thoughts that are underlying, so that's what I want to work on with you. Does that sound okay?
Yeah, sure.
It might bring up a lot of emotions for you that you didn't even realize are underlying those, so it's okay to feel that here, and if you feel like we need to stop, just let me know.
Okay.
So what's at the crux of the issue are those core beliefs. They drive you, they're your biggest fears, and they also drive your assumptions as well.
Mm-hmm.
So what I'm hearing is a core belief is that you feel that you are missing out on certain aspects of life because you don't have that connection with your father. Would you say that's true?
Yeah, and then I guess it kind of like what I've noticed is how I have to kind of try to hang out with my friends to go do something, whereas I feel like for other people it just seems way more natural for them to just they meet up, they hang out, they you know what I mean. I think I just see other people spending a lot more time with each other than I do, and that kind of throws me off too. So it's been kind of tough making new friends, or even with the friends I do make, I just feel like I'm still alienated, like I'm not part of their friend circle because obviously everyone's already made friends. You know, they're hanging out with all sorts of different people and stuff like that, and I still feel like I'm introducing myself to a lot of people in these friend circles and friend groups and stuff like that. So it's been kind of tough.
Yeah,
I'll
it
admit.
sounds really
Yeah.
tough. It sounds like what you just described is like there's an inner circle of friends and you're just on the side trying to get in.
Yeah, and it just feels like there's not any group that like, oh, just, you know, back, I don't know, when I was a kid, you know, I had my close group and we were just kind of like, they accepted me and almost instantly and it was just, that was it, you know what I mean? Now it's like, okay, well, I'm cool with this kid because, you know, he's in one of my classes, but then when we try and hang out outside of class, you know, he brings his other friends and it's more just like them hanging out and me on the side. That's how I kind of feel, but...
Okay. So you told me at one of our first sessions that your parents recently got divorced.
Mm-hmm.
How's your relationship with your mother?
Pretty solid. You know, my mom's my rock, so, yeah, I would say really good. Try and keep it open communication, stuff like that, so.
And remind me, do you live with your father or with your mother?
Well, I was living with my father, but, you know, now I'm kind of just living here. When I go back, I kind of plan on just spending more time with my mom, more so, and then just kind of in the guest bedroom, stuff like that. Kind of just crash on some friends' couches and stuff like that. She lives only like 2 towns away, so it's not like that big of a deal, but...
Okay, so it sounds like you have a support system there. But do you guys discuss what happens with you and your father?
No. Not really, I mean...
Have you ever thought about doing that before?
Never really saw what there was to discuss, you know? He's my dad, she's my mom, so...
I think that sometimes when you need perspective on what your beliefs are, it's easier when you have someone who knows the person.
Mm-hmm.
But also someone like myself who can see the whole picture from the outside.
Sure.
So going back to these thoughts, so do you think you could discuss these thoughts with your mother?
I guess. Probably.
I'd like you to do that as part of your homework to come back for next session.
Okay.
I'd like to see how that goes and how you feel about actually talking about these feelings and thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
Because it seems that you've held them in for a long time, and you know that we uncovered a lot so far through our sessions. But I just want us to take it really slow, and
Okay.
I don't want you to have to feel like you're emptying everything here. I want you to feel like you can do it elsewhere as well. Does that make
definitely.
sense?
Cool.
Okay. So, another thing I wanted to talk about is biggest fears. So, at the very core of your core belief is love. Do you feel loved by your mother?
Sure.
Do you feel loved by your friends?
I guess, yeah.
So what is it that is different between them and your dad loving you?
Like I said, like I mean, with my close group of friends from back home, it was just kind of like when we first moved into the town. I was in sixth grade or whatever, and from day one, it just kind of felt like they approached me. I didn't have to approach them, and they just kind of like adopted me into their circle, and that was kind of like a big difference. Like I was comparing to right now, where it feels like I'm kind of like still on the outside of everybody's inner circles, that type of stuff. So I don't know. And then with my dad, it was just we never really did anything like that. It was always just kind of like again me trying to do stuff with him and always being kind of like left out.
What type of things did you do together when you were younger?
Not much. I mean, we had like the family outings every once in a while and stuff like that, but dad was working, and that was pretty much the relationship there, I thought. So.
Can you give me an example of a time where you did have an outing and it went positive?
Yeah, I mean, this one summer, it was probably like fourth or fifth grade or something like that. We went up. I mean, my cousins were there too, so it wasn't like, again, it wasn't like I was there connecting with my dad, having this father-son connecting outing time. It was just more like, okay, he was there and so was the rest of the family, and I think I was just young, so I was just, playing with my cousins, so I didn't, like, see anything negative about it, but, like, it was a fun experience. But again, we just never had, like, anything where my dad never taught me how to go fishing, you know what I mean? I never went fishing and stuff like that with my dad. It was always just me and my cousins or my uncle or somebody else, or, so even when we did have, like, quality time, it was never, like, doing anything, so.
Okay. Well, can you give me an example of a negative time so I can better understand your feelings and thoughts about him?
Yeah, I guess. So, I mean, like, one time, I mean, not one time, this happens pretty frequently. When I was a kid, I'd, be in the back seat with him or whatever, and he would just kind of, like, be on the phone with somebody or road rage with somebody else, on the road, or get like angry out of nowhere, and maybe start driving like a little erratically, and I'd be in the back seat just like kind of scared. You know what I mean? I'd be like, oh man, what's going on, man? You know what I mean? That type of feeling, but also like not in a position really to like say anything because I was just a kid, so.
Does your father scare you?
I mean,
or
when
just
he's angry.
just in the driving situation?
Yeah, again, I was young then. I was really young, so I think any kid would have been a little
Yeah, I can
scared about that. You know what I mean? But now that I'm older, like, no, I'm not scared like that. But
Does he still get angry like that?
yeah, his own shit. Yeah.
Okay. Is his anger ever directed at you?
Yeah, I mean, just gets angry at something stupid, and then he'll direct it at whoever's closest near him. So.
Can you give me an example of a time that he got mad at you?
Yeah, I mean, this one time, he was working on something in the garage, and he claimed that, I moved his power saw or something like that. Like, I don't even know what the conversation was about. I'm like, dude, I don't even go in there. I didn't touch anything in there. I don't know what you're talking about. And he was just like, oh, I know you did it, blah, blah, blah. And ended up finding it behind the shed or something like that. It's somewhere stupid, you know what I mean? Like, definitely I'm like, dude, you're out of your mind, like, at this point. Like, so those definitely still has, like, random moments like that. But I've just learned to, like, get away from it, like, all right, dude, you do you. I'm going to go over there and just kind of separate myself.
Okay. Let's talk a little bit more about that saw situation.
Sure.
What was your reaction to him when he was accusing you?
Kind of like shocked, defensive, you know what I mean? Like
what
little
kind
mad.
of things did you say to him?
I don't really remember. I don't know. I don't know.
Can you ever remember a time where the dialogue went back and forth where you were yelling at each other or discussing something he was angry about?
Yeah, just kind of me yelling, saying I didn't do it, and him yelling back, saying that I did. So.
Okay. That helps me better understand. I appreciate that. So, how do you feel about telling me all of these things?
I mean, it feels weird saying it out loud because I've never really had that conversation with anybody, so it's a little eye-opening, I guess, but
Okay. So, how would you feel about talking a little bit more about your feelings and thoughts about your dad's next session? Do you feel like it would be too heavy, or you feel like we're headed in an okay direction where you can manage it?
yeah, I think we should be fine.
Okay. Because I really like to talk a little bit more about that iceberg example, because I feel like right now we've only seen like what's sticking out of the water.
Hmm.
I really want to dive deep so we can figure out where all these thoughts and emotions are rooted, so we can better understand why you're feeling and behaving in the way that you are.
Sure.
Okay. All right. Well, I appreciate you coming in today, and of course, you can always reach out. Let me know if you need anything in between. But I will see you next Thursday.
All right. Thanks, Doc. I appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Bye.